Welcome back, students. We know that atomic radii increases down the group. That means the first member of every group has very small size, and because of which its other parameters like ionization enthalpy, electron affinity, density, these all are different from rest of the members of the group, and that is why they show anomalous property. That means their chemical and physical properties is different from rest of the elements. Let's study this in more detail. Anomalous property of second period elements. What happens actually, it is observed that first member of each group of representative elements, that means the first member of each group of S and P block elements, that means generally the elements of second period, differ in many respect from the rest of the members of the same group. That means every member of S and P block elements, every member of the first group show anomalous property. That means their property of the first member of the group is different from rest of other members of the same group. Now let's see how and why. For example, behavior of lithium, which is the first member of first group, and barium, which is the first member of beryllium second group, is more similar with the second elements of the following group, that means magnesium and aluminium respectively, and such sort of similarity is known as diagonal relationship. Let's write it. Let's try to understand it. We know lithium is the first, then comes beryllium, then comes boron in the P block, then here's sodium, then magnesium, then aluminium. So lithium is the first member of first group, beryllium is the first member of second group, and these two show anomalous property. The properties of lithium are different from rest of the members of this group, while property of beryllium are also different from rest of the members of second group. And it is observed that the properties of lithium is similar to the second member of the next group, that means magnesium, while the properties of this beryllium resembles with the properties of aluminium. Now this is an interesting fact, and this type of phenomena in which the property of the first member of a group resembles with the second member of the following group is called actually diagonal relationship. So there is diagonal relationship between lithium and magnesium and so on between these two. Okay. Now what is the reason for such anomalous behavior? Is the first is obviously small atomic size of the first element. We know size increases down the group, and the first member of the group has smallest size. Smallest size means highest electronegativity, highest electron affinity, and also most negative character. So small size is related with electronegativity. Also it is related with ionization energy, also it is related with electron affinity, and also it is related with metallic character. The small size means high electronegativity, high ionization potential or ionization energy, high electron affinity, and less metallic character. Again, the second factor is large charge to radius ratio. Actually charge is similar on the ion. If we talk about the members of first group, on lithium also there is a +1 charge, and on sodium also there is +1 charge, but the region charge to mass ratio is very large in case of first members. Similarly, high electronegativity, as I just discussed. Second is absence of d orbital. Actually what happens, that lower members of the group have d orbitals in them, while the first members can not have d orbitals in their structure. So absence of d orbitals is also a important factor for why these show some anomalous properties. And next is the most important is ability to form p pi multiple bonds. This is the most important one. First member of each group of the P block basically elements have tendency to form p-pi multiple bonds to itself and other elements. Like carbon forms pi bond, similarly carbon triple bond, carbon oxygen, carbon nitrogen, these all forms p-pi multiple bond. Actually, what are p-pi multiple bonds? There's two type of bonding we know very well between an atom, let's say carbon. The first is found by head-on overlap, which is called sigma, and the p orbitals, which are perpendicular to the plane of bond, also overlap to form pi bond, and the pi bond which is formed by overlapping of p orbitals is called p-pi multiple bond. Apart from that, there must be p-pi d-pi multiple bond, p-pi bonds also. So but here in case of p block elements, there is for the first member there is a tendency to form p-pi multiple bonds. Again, it is very obvious then that when this sideways overlapping would be effective. Yes, when the size of these atoms is small. Smaller size of the atoms, smaller will be the bond length and more will be the overlapping. The difference between these two atoms defines that how effectively the overlapping would take place. Now the first members are of extremely small size, so the p orbitals can overlap very effectively. Now if the size is large, so the effective overlapping of the pi bonds is not of the p orbitals is not possible or is not so much effective. So this p-pi multiple bond is more effective when the size of atom is small, and because of which these all have tendency to form p-pi multiple bond, and that is why the first members of groups are mostly diatomic. Just you can see N2, O2 is diatomic, but next member as sulfur is octatomic. Similarly fluorine. The first members of p block are most of the time diatomic because they can form p-pi multiple bonds between the two atoms only. Okay, so this shows the anomalous behavior. The first members are diatomic while rest of are tetra or octatomic. So this is also a reason for anomalous property. Now this property of the element is due to small size, as I just discussed. Because of small size there is greater sideways overlapping of the orbitals. Now higher members of the group have little tendency to form p-pi bonds. Now next we are going to discuss periodic trends and chemical reactivity. Actually we know that high chemical reactivity in the periodic tables are observed at the two extremes. Those which are present at two extremes, that means S block elements, are highly reactive metals, while on the extreme these were on the extreme left, the high metals S block elements are highly reactive. And obviously and in S block also the first member, that means first group, is most reactive. Similarly in non-metals, that means in p block elements, the halogens, which is actually first before second last in that period before noble gases, which are not reactive actually. So we are talking about halogens on the extreme right are also highly reactive. So highly reactive metals on extreme left, highly reactive non-metals on extreme right, while those present between the center are low reactive, and that which is present at the exact center is least reactive. So high chemical reactivity is observed at the two extremes of the period and lowest in the center. Next is maximum chemical reactivity is at the extreme left of the period because of ease of electron loss or low ionization enthalpy. Why? Fluorines, if we talk about halogens, that means group 7, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, these all have only one electron short from noble gas configuration. And in extreme left, if we talk about sodium or lithium, these have only one electrons to lose. They can lose these electrons and these can gain those one electrons. So maximum chemical reactivity at the extreme left, that means on metal side of the period, is due to low ionization enthalpy, because these can easily donate electrons because of large size and only one electron present. These will very easily donate electrons, so they have very low ionization enthalpy, and that's why they are highly reactive. On the other hand, the chemical reactivity at extreme right on this side is due to more negative value of electron gain enthalpy. That means they have very high electron affinity. They require just only one electron. They are extremely small in size, so they will highly attract an electron. They will very easily accept an electron, and they will release a large amount of energy after accepting the electron. So they have high negative value of electron gain enthalpy or high electron affinity. Elements at the extreme left exhibit strong reducing behavior. Actually, these are strong reducing. Why? What are reducing agents? Reducing agents are those which get oxidized themselves and reduce other. So these release electrons, that means they get oxidized and they help other to get reduced. So they are strong reducing agents. While those on the extreme right, that means non-metals, are strong oxidizing agent. As they accept electrons, they get oxidized, they get reduced themselves and helps other to oxidize. So they are strong oxidizing agent and these are strong reducing agents. Again, oxide formed by the elements on the left are basic, because we know on left there are metals and metals form basic oxides and hydroxides. On the other hand, oxides and hydroxides formed by elements present on the extreme right are acidic in nature, and oxide at the center are amphoteric. That means they are neither acidic nor, either they are neutral, that means neither acidic nor basic, or they are amphoteric, that means they are both acidic and basic. Now let's try to solve some problems which were asked in IIT JEE. Which one of the following is an amphoteric oxide? So this is a question based on direct knowledge of the facts, and we know that metals form basic oxide. So this sodium being as a metal, so this is a basic oxide. Sulfur is a non-metal, it would be a non-metals form acidic oxide, so this would be acidic. Similar is the case with this. This is also boron is also a non-metal, so this would be also acidic oxide. Zinc is although metal, but actually it forms amphoteric oxide. This oxide reacts with both acids and base, so zinc forms amphoteric oxide here. Next is identify the correct order of acidic strengths. We have to find out the correct order of acidic strength. We have given with CO2, copper oxide, calcium oxide and water. We know water is neutral. Water is neutral, while these two, copper and calcium, are metals, so their oxide would be basic, and carbon is a non-metal, so its oxide would be acidic. So if we want to arrange these in increasing order, first of all we'll write basic oxides, followed by then we'll write neutral oxide, and then we will write acidic oxide. So according to this order, here would come CO2, then we'll have H2O, and then we'll have CuO and CaO. So according to this, A is the correct option here. Next, we have to find out the again correct order of the acidic strengths here. So we know silicon, phosphorus and sulfur all are non-metals. So these all are as their oxides of sulfur, silicon, phosphorus and sulfurs are acidic, while aluminium oxide is actually amphoteric in nature. It cannot be acidic, at least because aluminium is metallite or more generally metal. So this could not be a acidic oxide, it is basic, and we know this is actually amphoteric oxide. So this one would come in the is least acidic here. So either answer would be either A or D and not B and C. Now we have to decide the order of acidity among these three oxides of sulfur, phosphorus and silicon, and that means, and we know first of all that how these three metals, silicon, phosphorus and sulfurs, are arranged in periodic table. These are arranged in this way. These three are the members of same period and they are arranged in this order. So we know along the period non-metallic character increases. That means the non-metallic character of sulfur is highest, followed by that of phosphorus, followed by silicon. So the oxide of sulfur would be most acidic, followed by the oxide of phosphorus, followed by the oxide of silicon. So it would be like this: CO2 most acidic, followed by P2O3, followed by SiO2 and followed by Al2O3. So this is the order for acidity of these oxides. That means the correct option is D here. Students, in case you have any doubt in this topic, you can post that question in our discussion board. For that, all you need to do is to go to the home page of Ask IITians. There you will find an option of discussion board. You have to click there. Then in the right side, you will find a portion of Ask Experts. In that, just select the category in which you want to post your question. Let's say it's physical chemistry. Then post your question here, and then if you want to attach any image, use this option to attach the image, and finally post it by clicking on Get Answer, and you will be answered within 24 to 48 hours by our experts. So students, we have just seen that how every first member of the representative group has anomalous property. That means it has different properties than rest of the members of the same group. In this chapter, we started from Mendeleev's periodic table. We studied about that what were the drawbacks and what were the important factors of Mendeleev's periodic table. Then we moved to modern periodic law, which is the basic of modern periodic table. We studied that how the elements are classified among S block, P block, D block and F block elements. We know what are the trends in periodicity of the properties of the elements in a periodic table. This chapter is very simple. In fact, one of the most simple chapter, and the questions which you will find in the exam based on this chapter would be direct. It will be based on direct knowledge of the concept. So focus on periodicity in properties, because most of the questions will be from this portion only. For more videos on physics, chemistry, biology and mathematics, stay tuned. Thank you.